Hello, I want to give you something to try on your Tyros. I've got a Tyros 5 here, but it will work on a 4. In fact, it will work on all Tyros models. I'm going to use the rhythm accompaniment section, so I'm going to turn the accompaniment button on, and I'm going to be using the one-touch settings, these buttons along here, which give you a really good sound suggestion for any rhythm that you're using. Now, each rhythm has 4 sounds which Yamaha have allocated, so you get a really good setup when you're playing. Each rhythm also has, as you may have found on your Tyros, A, B, C and D, and these get gradually more elaborate when you're playing your rhythm section. They'll get a bigger sound the further to the right you go. If you go to C or D, it's a much bigger accompaniment section. And the same with the sounds. The sounds that you can select from are going to give you a little bit more elaborate, fuller sounds. So they tend to start off with something like a piano or a flute or something, and then they go to more orchestral voicing and build up the sound the further to the right you go. Now, quite a clever idea on the Tyros, as we've covered in one of the videos before, is a OTS link. And what this does, when we put this on, the A button in the styles automatically couples up to the number 1 button in the one-touch setting. So when I press the A button, the one-touch setting light number 1 comes on. If I press the B, then number 2 comes on, 3 and 4. So we have a link up. So just by pressing one button here, it gives me the sound and it couples it and makes one big change. Now, this is great, and you've got 4 of these variations for every single style that you might choose, and they're really good. Yamaha have put a lot of time into thinking of what would suit the style, what sound to use, and it gives you a nice quick change when you're playing without having to think which sound should I select from the panel. Now, we can use this a bit better. We can go further, because when we choose, let's go to, we'll choose a style that's on 3s, 4s and 5s, the ethereal rhythms. We'll go into movie and show, and I'm going to choose ethereal movie. There we go, ethereal movie. Now, I've got my one-touch setting button turned on, so it's going to couple up A to number 1. If I press A, we can see on the screen we get a flute coming in, and I've got some more instruments selected, but they're not turned on. On this panel over here, it shows me that only one orange button is on, and that is for right 1. And right 1 corresponds to a classical flute, which is a beautiful sound. So if I wanted to play at the moment, it's all ready to start. I press my rhythm synchro start button, I play my first chord. Ethereal's this nice rhythm that has no drums to it, so I can play at any speed. And if I play my A, it'll give me a nice fill in. That's really nice, we've got a nice sound there, but do you realise that Yamaha have also thought about some options to change that to? On the screen here, look, we've got an oboe, we've got a harp, and in the left hand we've got a boys choir. So if I go to the section over here that selects those parts, we've got right 1, right 2, right 3, we can do the switch over. We can press 2 together. If I press number 1, it's going to turn it off, look. So if I press number 1 and number 2 together, number 1 turns off and number 2 turns on. And that now gives me the oboe. I'm going to do it again now, and I'll get the harp. So I turn off 2, turn on 3. Here, look, I've got boys choir ooh. So to turn that on, I turn my left hand select button on. So there's my left voice, the boys choir ooh, and that's staying on with my accompaniment. And I can bring the volume a bit lower or a bit higher, depending on how prominent I want that to be. So let's try that now. We've got the lower choir on. I'm going to start off with my first sound, which was the classical flute. To the oboe. my cymbal. Don't forget we've still got 3 others. We've got B, C and D. So if I go to B now, and I'm going to stick my transpose up a semitone. Let's do the same again, press the 2. And now my guitar. Let's add the choir with the hold. Let's try the third one, which is a choir again. Fades out the accompaniment for me, and all the volumes go down on the screen, look. So what we've done, we've used the automatic one-touch settings, but we've been able to mix around with the choices from turning off one button and turning on another one, turning off one, and that gives you many more altered sounds from the presets that Yamaha have chosen for us, but we can just jump around and they're all there. You've just got to look and find them. So on every single style, if we go to a different style, again, any style gives us a selection, but we can just press 2 buttons and it turns off the one and gives us another selection on the screen. So jazz flute, press the 2 again, you get the vibraphone. Back to the piano, press the 2 again. So it's just a quick way of getting more sounds. One more thing to show you, the left hold button lights up to hold the voice that you have in the left hand. Now on earlier Tyros 5 models, they weren't set up to keep that lit up when you went to a different one-touch setting. It dropped off and your sound didn't stay on. Now the firmware updates that we've covered in one of our earlier videos, they have the changes so that the left hold does stay on when you go to different settings, and it keeps in my choir or whatever lower sound I've got turned on, it keeps it on even though we're changing between other settings. If you haven't got the latest firmware update, it's currently 1.08, and you can go onto the Yamaha website, or we can send you a link to exactly where to find it, stick it on a memory stick and you can load it into your Tyros, and that will mean that your left hold will stay on, and that's quite a nice feature. I hope you found that useful.
Tyros tips, because we care.